And not because nobody loves you, but because nobody understands what is really happening. Have you ever felt, looking around you, that strange sensation that something doesn't fit? That there is a crack, invisible but deep, in the way we relate nowadays. Women are not what they used to be. And before you get shocked, listen. This is not misogyny. This is a warning. One that Carl Gustav Jung dropped almost a century ago, and that we have completely ignored. There isn't much to choose from. You feel it every time you talk to someone, every time you try to connect. And it's not just in dating, it's at work, in family, in daily life. Something is broken, an emotional dissonance. And Jung, with his surgical mind, had already foreseen it. He didn't talk about Tinder, nor radical feminism, nor social networks, but he spoke about the soul, about the anima and the animus, about the loss of meaning. And that, my friend, is exactly what we are seeing now. Women trapped in a false empowerment that empowers no one. Men disconnected from their masculine energy, emotionally castrated, trained to please. Jung called it archetypal imbalance. When the poles stop attracting and start competing, chaos appears. Today, relationships are not spaces of communion, but battlefields, where no one wants to yield, but everyone wants to win. Win what? Loneliness, anxiety, emptiness. Carl Jung was a surgeon of the unconscious. He understood that the human psyche is deeper than superficial behavior. He said that when a woman represses her essential feminine side, she masculinizes in the worst sense. And when a man represses his virile energy, he becomes a shadow of himself. We see it every day, everywhere. The problem is not that women are independent. The problem is that they have confused independence with denial of the other. They have made rejection an identity. They no longer seek love, they seek validation. And not from a man, but from a market, an algorithm, an invisible audience that applauds their ego every time they post a filtered photo. And you know it. You've talked to women who don't listen, who only wait their turn to speak, who measure you, evaluate you, classify you before knowing you. Do you know why? Because they no longer see people. They see opportunities or threats. Jung warned, when the female soul disintegrates, the woman loses her capacity to love. Because to love is to give yourself. And to give yourself, you must first be. But what happens when they never really became? When their identity was built based on pleasing, approval, what others think? Or worse, against all that, when all their strength is resistance, but not creation. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, that dark part of the self that we repress out of fear, out of shame. Today, the female shadow has come to light, but not to integrate, but to dominate. Broken women who, instead of healing, have decided to destroy. There isn't much to choose from, because it's not about numbers, it's about essence. How many women do you know who truly know themselves? How many have done the deep work of looking at their maternal wound, their childhood trauma, their unconscious hatred of the father? Jung said that everything that is not made conscious manifests as destiny. And that is what we see. Broken destinies, relationships that never come to life, men and women who cross paths without touching. And here comes the hardest part. You are also part of the problem. Because you have given in, you have bowed your head. You have learned to silence your opinions not to upset anyone. You have accepted mediocre relationships for fear of being alone. You have renounced your truth to fit in. Do you know what that does to your psyche? It fragments you. It cuts you inside. Jung would say you have betrayed yourself, the core of who you are, and that core does not forgive. Today's woman, for the most part, does not seek connection. She seeks control. She wants power, but doesn't know what to do with it. She wants a strong man, but one who kneels. She wants independence, but wants to be maintained. She is a living contradiction. And you, trapped between desire and rejection, between admiration and frustration. How do you feel about that? Don't say it. If you said it, you'd be cancelled. But Jung wouldn't be silent. Jung would say this crisis is spiritual, that we have lost the language of the soul, that we no longer know how to speak in symbols. That myth is dead. And without myth, there is no identity. That's why bonds break before they are born. Because the other is a mirror. And if you don't know who you are, what you see terrifies you. Today, the female archetype is wounded. Not broken, but confused. Women have forgotten their inner power and have fallen into the trap of competing from lack, of building from fear, of seducing from rage. That is not feminine. That is a mask. It's a pose. It's projected shadow. And the worst part is it works. Because the system rewards it. The algorithm reinforces it. Friends celebrate it. But deep down, they are empty. And you know it. You can see it in their eyes, in their inability to be silent, in their constant need for stimulus, attention, novelty. Because if they stay alone for 5 minutes, the monster appears. The true self, the wounded girl, the one who was never seen, the one no one validated. And then they attack. Not out of malice, out of defense. Jung would say we need to integrate, not reject, not oppose, not fight. Integrate. The anima and the animus. The masculine and the feminine within each one. But how are you going to integrate if you don't even know what you have denied? How are you going to connect if you are broken inside? And yes, they are broken too. But you can't save them. It's not your job. Your job is not to let them drag you down. Because there is a silent war, a psychic battle, where the victim becomes the executioner, where the woman who says she loves ends up emasculating you. Not because she wants to, but because she doesn't know how to love any other way. And you, confused, accept it. Why? Because you believe that's what's expected. Because you were told love is sacrifice. Jung would say that's not love, it's neurosis. There isn't much to choose from, not because there aren't women, but because few have done the inner work. And you should do yours, because only from there will you see clearly. Because only when you are whole will you stop looking for halves. Jung said that meeting the soulmate is not a gift, it is a consequence of inner work, of individuation, of becoming what you are destined to be. So yes, it's hard, it's lonely, it's frustrating, but it's necessary. Because the alternative is losing yourself, diluting yourself in empty relationships, in broken promises, in connections that never touch your soul. Carl Jung said it clearly. Those who look outside dream. Those who look inside awaken. And you? Will you keep dreaming about women who don't exist? Or will you finally wake up? This is not a video against women. It is a cry for the human psyche, for the wounded soul, for the urgent need to return to the essential, to the symbolic, to the sacred. Because when a woman finds herself, the world changes. And when a man stops searching outside what he lacks inside, he becomes unstoppable. So number, there isn't much to choose from, but that's not the end. It's the beginning of a new way to see, to relate, to live. Because only from truth does something real arise. And truth, however uncomfortable it may be, always frees. Jung knew it. Now you do too. And here's where things get really dark. Because if what you just heard shook you, wait to hear this. The wound doesn't start with the modern woman, not even with the modern man. It starts with the civilization we have built. A civilization that pathologizes the feminine and ridicules the masculine. Have you noticed that? The collective soul is sick, and Jung knew it, It's not about a failed generation. It's about an entire culture that has lost contact with the unconscious. We live in an era that idolizes surface, where image has replaced identity, where the value of a person is measured by the amount of attention they can capture, not by the depth of their character. And what happens when this normalizes? It happens that the woman stops asking who she is and starts asking how desirable she seems. And the man stops asking what purpose he has and starts calculating how much validation he can get. And so the human soul is destroyed, not with bombs, but with Instagram filters. Carl Jung spoke of archetypes as eternal structures of the collective unconscious. The lover, the sage, the mother, the warrior. Where are they now? Where do you see the wise woman? The initiator woman? Where is the feminine figure that guides, that builds, that transforms? She has been replaced by a parody, the marketing woman, the hollow empowerment woman, the strong speech but fragile soul woman. Because behind that defiant tone, often there is only fear. Fear of being seen as they truly are. Fear of not being enough. Fear that no one will choose them if they don't imitate the model promised to them that worked. But it doesn't work. And you know it, because you have lived it. You have dated women who had it all according to society. Success, independence, followers, presence. But you felt alone being with them. Why? Because they were not present. They were projecting. They were acting. They were trapped in a role. Jung would say it like this: they were possessed by a complex, and when a complex takes over you, you are no longer you. You are a mask, a fiction. And here's the most unsettling twist. Many of those women are not guilty. They are victims. Victims of a system that never taught them to inhabit themselves, only to present themselves, to compete in a war of images, to disconnect from their bodies to belong, to repress their emotionality to be taken seriously, to look at men not as companions, but as adversaries. And that war is not won. It is only survived. Barely. Do you want another uncomfortable truth? Many of these women have never felt real intimacy, not because they haven't been with men, but because they have never been able to let go of control. And without vulnerability, there is no encounter. There is transaction. There is play. There is manipulation. But there is no soul. Jung said the soul enters the relationship only when we lower our defenses. And today, almost no one lowers anything. Everyone is armed to the teeth, emotionally speaking. And it's not about returning to an old model. We are not saying that the woman should be submissive, nor the man dominant. That would be oversimplifying a complex matter. What Jung proposes is something much deeper. Integration, balance, the return of the symbol, the recovery of the soul, the recognition that both poles, masculine and feminine, are wounded, and that they only heal by recognizing each other. But that is almost impossible in a culture that has turned the war of the sexes into entertainment. Movies, series, books, everything is designed to divide, to ridicule men, to caricature women, to sell a fight that benefits no one except those who make money from confusion. And you? Where do you stand in all this? Because most remain asleep. They keep playing the game, repeating phrases they don't understand, criticizing the opposite gender without looking at their own wounds. But you are here, listening, wondering, doubting. And that is a good start, because only he who doubts can awaken. Have you considered what it means today to be a woman, beyond feminist or traditionalist discourse? What it means to be a woman without needing to shout it, without labels, without performance, just being. And what does it mean to be a man beyond strength, money, or validation? Jung would say it like this: being a man is embodying logos, the creative order. Being a woman is embodying eros, relational energy, both necessary, both sacred, both wounded. And here comes the final paradox. Only the man who has reconciled his feminine side can truly love. And only the woman who has embraced her inner masculine can sustain a bond without destroying it. But that is not taught. It is not learned in school. It is not in speeches. It is in silence, in introspection, in shadow work. And that, almost no one is willing to do. That's why there isn't much to choose from. Because most have settled for being a mask. Because the work of becoming oneself is too painful, too slow, too real. But you are not here for the easy. You are here because something inside you refuses to live on autopilot. You are here because you know there is something more, something that's not on the screen, nor in appearances, nor in speeches. It's inside you, and only you can go get it. Carl Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. So wake up, because what's coming won't be easy, but it will be worth it. And if you've made it this far, it's no coincidence. Something inside you is tired of the lie. Something inside you is breaking to make way for the truth. And don't be afraid, that's good. Because only what breaks can be rebuilt consciously. Maybe this video won't give you answers, but it has put you in front of the mirror. And that is more than most dare to do in their whole life. Because truly looking at yourself, damn, that hurts. But there is something I haven't told you yet, and it's the most important. The solution is not outside. Neither in changing women, nor in adapting your personality to please, nor in hating the feminine for what it has made you feel. The solution is within you, in your center. In awakening that inner fire that does not depend on being chosen, nor understood, nor accepted. A fire that doesn't compete, that doesn't beg, that doesn't act. It just burns. And when you burn from there, you need nothing more than your truth. Don't expect the world to give you what you don't know how to give yourself. Don't expect women to offer you something they themselves have not found. You are the gateway. You are the alchemist. Transformation begins when you stop begging for love and start embodying presence. When you stop looking at the external chaos to look at the emptiness you carry inside. And yes, that emptiness scares, but it is also sacred. Because only in the emptiness is there room for the new. Only from silence does the real emerge. And now I throw you a challenge. Don't close this video without asking yourself one brutal question. What part of you are you letting die every time you adapt to the noise of the world? Write it down. Note it. Engrave it. Because that is your compass. It's not the algorithm, nor trends, nor what they expect from you. It is that question, repeated in the darkness, that will guide you back to yourself. Now, yes, we have reached the end. And if this video has touched something inside you, something that makes you uncomfortable, but that you know is true, then subscribe. Not to increase a number. Subscribe because you are tired of the superficial, the predictable, the comfortable. This space is not for everyone. It is for those who are ready to think for themselves, for those who choose the discomfort of truth over the comfort of lies. And if you want to leave a mark, comment this phrase below: "The soul does not lie." Don't explain why, don't justify anything, just write it. If you know, you know. And now I say goodbye, but not with a kind phrase, nor with a scripted smile. I say goodbye with an uncomfortable truth. The silence that accompanies you after this video is not emptiness. It is your soul awakening. And that, my friend, has no turning back. See you in the shadow. Or maybe you will see yourself first.